Emery. I'm a biologist with Chucho Environmental. I'm leading the field components of the grizzly bear corridor habitat assessment. The goal of this project is to identify grizzly bear corridors and then assess how many grizzly bears are actually using those corridors and the habitat that it's in, so that we can recommend best management practices for forestry and other industry. So we identified these corridors through computer-based modeling, and we then had interviews with elders in Seke to help us identify areas that grizzly bears were using. Once we decided where we thought we should put these cameras, we went to the field to validate the area. So we were looking for animal signs such as trails, potential rub trees, and other signs of bear use on vegetation and that sort of thing. And if we found that there was animal use there, then we set up cameras. We first set the cameras up on the corridor, and we paired them with reference cameras. The site we're heading to right now is along the Ospika River, and this is one of the areas that was identified by the Seke Dene Nation members. And today was the first time we revisited these sites to look at the cameras and see what kind of images we captured. There's a lot of bears on here. Grizz, a nice white looking gray wolf, big elk, some more moose, deer, black bear, all using the rub trees. You never know how these locations are going to turn out when you propose them, and it's always nice to get back and see how these sites turned out and get the images that you were hoping to capture. We're setting up grizzly bear hair snags on rub trees, so this is a passive way of looking at who's using these corridors, how many bears are using the corridors, and we're doing that through a DNA analysis. Along with that, we're going to get some information on what the grizzly bears are actually feeding on as well, and an idea of what areas they might be traveling to for food. The passive hair snag stations are pretty simple. All we're doing is finding and locating natural rub trees that the bears are using, and then we're putting barbed wire around it. And after that, we burn off the old hairs so that we don't have DNA contamination. And then each time we go back, we'll collect the samples from those barbs and then re-burn any of the areas where hair was collected so we don't have cross-contamination between the time periods. It's a really common method to use barbed wire to collect hair samples from bears, and as far as we can tell, it doesn't bother them at all, and it might even help them get a little extra itch. I don't know. It's always nice to return to these locations and find out that they were successful and you found the images that you were looking for. It just shows that our discussions with Seke and the models are actually working. Getting back to these sites again, we're going to return a couple more times this summer, collect some hair samples and change out the SD cards. Over the winter, we're going to take a look at what we found, and we're going to expand on that next year and hopefully find some more good locations. And these camera trap projects are really interesting because we get lots of data on different animals too, not just our target species. These are the fun jobs, and this is why we get into wildlife biology. Projects like this are always really rewarding because it's always fun to get out, get on the landscape,